Good afternoon. I'm Harry Black, City Manager. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of Sam DuBose during this most difficult time. As we all know, on July 19th, Sam DuBose was shot and killed by a University of Cincinnati police officer tensing during a traffic stop in Mount Auburn. Since the incident, the City of Cincinnati Police Department has been working very closely with the University of Cincinnati Police Department in terms of conducting the initial investigation. The county prosecutor came involved, and as at his request, we've turned everything over to the prosecutor, and he commissioned the grand jury process, which concluded its work either late yesterday or first thing this morning. Indictments have been issued, and we are pleased that the process worked, as we've been saying all along. Though a very difficult situation, the body camera footage is now released. Clearly, when you review the video, something went tragically wrong with this traffic stop and loss of life as a result. The process to answer the question as to exactly what happened in progressing through will be and is progressing through the court system. We also will continue to support the University of Cincinnati however we can. The bottom line is that a life has been lost. We need to make sure we learn something from this situation to ensure that Mr. DuBose's death is not in vain. We understand that tensions are high in our city. We are encouraging folks to peacefully express how they are feeling. That is an important part of the democratic process. As we always do, we are making preparations for any scenarios that may present themselves. For this afternoon, you'll hear from Mayor John Cranley next, followed by President Santaono of the University of Cincinnati, followed by Chief Blackwell. At this time, I'm going to ask Mayor Cranley to offer remarks.
First, let me say that I had a chance to meet this morning with the family, and it was a very sad occasion. Lots of tears. But I will tell you that, as you heard in the press conference just a little while ago, that the family is in mourning, but also wants to honor the spirit of Samuel's life. And as they described him, he was a jokester, but he was not a violent man. And they want him to be remembered as such, and they want this city to act in a way to honor his spirit. And I, on behalf of the city, was able to express our condolences to the family, and I want to thank the family for their leadership for this city at this time. The second thing I want to say is that I think we all hoped that the charges that would come out of the grand jury would match the video, the actions on the video. That if the actions on the video were justified, that would be the charge or no charge, and if the actions were not justified, that charges would reflect that. We wanted the right thing to be done, the just thing to be done, the fair thing to be done. We wanted the truth to come out. And when you look at, for example, the videos in New York earlier this year, and you see that no charge was brought, there was a great sense that maybe justice was not done. In this case, I want to thank Prosecutor Joe Dieters for his extraordinary leadership, not for pushing an agenda, but for doing the right thing. And I've known Joe for almost 20 years. And he has done the city an enormous public service today. And I want to thank him and his office for moving quickly in the pursuit of the right thing. We are going to get through this with the help of the family and the help of the many people in this room. Our police department is prepared and ready to deal with anything that happens today or tomorrow or the next couple of days. we have the best police department in the world. We respect the right of people to peacefully protest and to exercise their First Amendment rights. And there is obviously reason for people to be angry today and upset. And people deserve the right to be able to do so in a public manner. That's what this country is all about. And our police department is prepared to respect that. Our police department is also prepared to deal with people that would violate the spirit of Samuel DuBose's life, which was nonviolence, and his family has called for the same. I also want to take a minute to thank the unity of the city right now. We have great civil rights leaders like Bishop Bobby Hilton and Pete Mingo here, who have been walking the streets, who have been talking to the community, who have lots of experience urging calm and peace, and also demanding justice. I want to thank my colleagues. We've got Councilman, former police officer Wendell Young, Councilwoman Yvette Simpson, Councilwoman Amy Murray, Councilman Charlie Winburn, Councilman P.G. Sittenfeld. I know Councilman Smitherman is on a family vacation, but he has been checking in constantly and asking what he can do to help. You know, Woody Allen famously said, half of life is just showing up. And I'm proud that this city and the city council is here, present, at a tough time for our city. I also want to take special acknowledgement of State Representative Christy Bryant, who is here, and Cecil Thomas, State Senator Cecil. Cecil was an incredible leader back in 2001 and really helped this city. And every time I turn on the TV, he is out there walking the walk. And so we are blessed to have a lot of people who have worked together over many years, and those relationships are activated now. And we are in this together. I urge people to go about their business. Those who need to exercise their moral outrage are allowed to do so, of course, in a peaceful way, and we will respect that. But we, Cincinnati, will get through this. We will get through this with a fair justice process that Joe Dieters has overseen, and with a professional police department that is there on the street. And we will continue to work with our great university, the University of Cincinnati, and its leader, who we've gotten to know over the last several years, who has really epitomized the spirit of Cincinnati. And that is President Santaona, who will now speak. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I too had a chance to meet with the family earlier today, and it was a very, very sad time in conversation. And I gave them my condolences and my prayers, and my thoughts and prayers continue for the family and loved ones of Samuel DuBose. He was clearly a remarkable person, a kind person, a family man, and a member of the community. As a result of the grand jury action, we have decided, University of Cincinnati Police Chief Jason Goodrich and I, to immediately terminate Officer Ray Tenzing, and that has already taken place. Beyond the criminal investigation, as I've said earlier this week, the university is reviewing what has occurred and will take all necessary steps to address any training, staffing, and hiring policy issues that may be indicated by a review of this event. We are fully committed to doing anything, even retraining officers, so that we can be really a model of public safety from a university setting. The other thing that many of you are aware of is that, thanks to many of the members of this room, over the past several days, I have personally been meeting with many community leaders who have been there, and I thank them for that. We will continue to partner with them in the weeks, months, and even years ahead to ensure that the University of Cincinnati strengthens our commitment to partnering with the City of Cincinnati, the Cincinnati Police Department, and the public to be really one of the best in public safety. Thank you.
Chief Blackwell.
Clearly, this is a tragedy for our city and for our nation. Our hearts collectively, all of our hearts, go out to the DuBose family. We recognize that in law enforcement, and you've heard me say this before, most of you in this room, that what affects us anywhere affects us everywhere. So we are prayerful that this cumulative impact does not overly exacerbate this tragic scenario. We are appreciative of Prosecutor Dieters and his office for the timely conclusion of their investigation. I truly believe that the work that they completed is demonstrative of an outstanding commitment to justice, transparency, and truth-telling. While we are hopeful for the peaceful protesting of today's decision, make no mistake that we are operationally prepared to respond to other things that may occur in our community. Violence and lawlessness cannot and will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Okay, at this time, we will take several questions.
Prosecutor Dieters today said that there's no place for police departments in colleges. Have you considered doing away entirely with the police department at all?
I have not. The policing that's required of university and college police are very different from the policing in a metropolitan area. As you've heard from Chief Blackwell, we are continuously talking about how to strengthen that partnership. It's been around for decades. And so the important thing is to ensure the safety of the entire community and also, frankly, of the university community. And that will require honest conversations involving, as I said, a top-to-bottom review of UCPD. We have a lot of great men and women in UCPD. And so, as I said, we will complete that top-to-bottom review. We will monitor what we're doing over in a data-driven way over whatever length of time is necessary to ensure that we move beyond this, and we will partner in a meaningful way with Cincinnati Police. As we speak, there are individuals from District 4, District 5, together with UCPD staff on the University of Cincinnati campus. So that kind of partnership is really essential.
To follow up on that, Chief Mayor Cranley, is the city even realistically in a position to have his police department disband and take over the University of Cincinnati PD?
First of all, let me say that, as Santa has already said, there's going to be an independent investigation review of the UC Police Department. Both Santa and I have already said that reform obviously needs to be had to at least bring the UC Police Department in conformity with our collaborative agreement. Clearly non-negotiable at this point. It's too early to say how that all ends up. Obviously, our police department could do it, but regardless, this isn't a unilateral decision. We're in partnership with UC, and we will work all these things out together. It's too early to tell, but right now, as Santa just told you, our police department is with the UC Police Department. Our police department has enormous experience with situations like this, and I've asked, and the UC has agreed, to allow our folks to stand shoulder to shoulder today and over the next few days, because certainly we know how to deal with situations like this.
President, I'm curious.
Sure.
WLET, we have asked repeatedly for demographic information
Sure.
from the police department. Do you know the makeup of the officers, the number, the age of officers, also the ethnic and racial makeup of your staff?
I don't have those at my fingertips, but as we comply with all public records requests, and so certainly you have those. If you don't have them yet, you'll get them shortly. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. Go.
We have begun the necessary legwork to bring a body camera program here. We have already done the wear test, and we have done all of the really heavy lifting. But we were reminded by the city manager and others that we need to really make an understanding as to the long-term impact of data retrieval and the costs associated with storage and redaction. So we've got a lot of that done. We will have a body camera program here soon. He assures me of that. We are just working through some back-end formalities.
Will this case help your cause to get more body cameras?
If I may, Chief. As the Chief mentioned, pursuing a body camera program is not a question. We've made a decision that we will be pursuing a body camera program. We just want to step back and ask all the right questions to make sure that when we do it in the most economical way and the most effective way. But we will ultimately have a body camera program.
I think it's safe to say that this case is going to help the cause of body cameras across the country.
President Nuttall, I'm a student at the University of Cincinnati.
Yes.
And all the communication thus far concerning the students has been focused on safety
Yes.
and about anti-rioting. And I'm concerned with how are you addressing black students like myself who are grieving at this loss of life?
Yeah.
Who've been grieving for years at racial disparities in our country, in our university. And what's your plan to bring them to the table to make sure they're engaged in this?
We definitely will, and we will do that. We have, we're actually, and I'd like to involve you in that process. We are coming up with a pretty comprehensive plan, beginning as soon as the semester starts and well into the year. But I welcome that involvement of students, and I'd love to talk to you a little bit more about that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of precedent are we setting here?
Well, I think, you know, over the last year, where you've had the situations in Staten Island, in Ferguson, in Florida, in Beaver Creek, in Cleveland, in Baltimore, so many times people have said, well, Cincinnati has been through this 15 years ago and has made a lot of improvements, not perfection, but improvements. And we are proud of the progress that we've made as a community, and it was not easy. And we're not standing in judgment of other communities, because we had a lot of fingers pointing at us 14 years ago, and it took us many years to make changes. But we made changes that have brought the civil rights community and our police department much closer. And I would suggest that today, that the other half of the equation of the prosecutor, is once again a role model for the nation. And, you know, as I mentioned earlier, I've known Joe for 20 years, and I knew he would do the right thing. But there are prosecutors that don't always do the right thing. And we are blessed and lucky that we had Joe in that position to not politicize the situation, but to do the right thing. And I think that we can now be a role model for the whole country on the police side and on the quick pursuit of justice.
Since sentencing has not been adjudicated, guilty, innocent, or otherwise at this point, are any of you concerned about this sending some kind of negative message to law enforcement? This, across the country, is a bad time to be a cop. You know that as well as
Chief, you want to talk about that one?
there are a lot of cops who are worried about being second-guessed, about being supported. Is there any concern whatsoever that the indictment of a police officer in Cincinnati is going to send a negative impression of any kind to law enforcement around here?
You know, that is a very good question, but I don't think so. This officer was wrong. And when we're wrong, we have to be held accountable. And I think that's the message, that a 10-day investigation. Our officers in CIS worked around the clock. Joe Dieter's office worked around the clock so that we could be thorough, but expedite the process. And we realize that we take an oath, and it's a heavy burden. It really is, especially now. People are provocative, and they're filming us, and it's a tough job. It's the most difficult policing environment in the history of our nation. But that doesn't excuse away bad behavior. We have got to be right. We have got to be constitutional, and we have got to be just, period.
President Nuttall, I'd like to follow up quickly on the demographics of the department question. We have asked repeatedly and have not gotten a satisfactory answer. to the, with regard to the demographic.
I'll make
That's
sure,
why I press it.
I'll make sure you get it.
The
Yeah.
question I ask, and ideally by the end of the day, if it's possible. but
Sure.
The reason I ask is that I'm curious about your perspective. Does the department, what is the makeup? Do you feel it matches the community, at least the UC?
Oh, well, definitely, there's room for more diversity in that force, and that's something that the new Chief of Police, Jason Goodrich, is really committed to doing, and he has plans for that. But it's, public record requests actually don't go through my office, they go through the General Counsel, so I'll talk to her and make sure that there's a response for that question. Sure. It's not about control. As I said, university and college campus safety and policing is very, very different from metropolitan policing. There's a different demographic of individuals that are involved. It's really a specialized field where police officers that are working with students, I've had a lot of experience working with them. And there are a lot of federal guidelines that have to be adhered to as well. So there are some similarities, but I really believe, as the chief has said and the mayor has said, that through conversation and through involvement of an external expert panel, that we can arrive at a stronger partnership and collaboration, which has been in place, but will move the entire situation to a better place.
Mayor Cranley, within the last couple of months, we've seen a Cincinnati police officer killed line of duty. We've now got a Cincinnati police officer indicted. We've got a line of duty death at this end. Are you worried about a rift within this community at all right now?
Well, of course, I'm praying, and my job is to constantly worry for the city, but I am proud to stand with the leadership that I'm standing with right now, the civil rights leadership, the police leadership, the elected officials, to stand for justice and to stand for peace. To your point, I would add another. We had a cop murdered just recently. 2 cops were assassinated earlier this year in New York City. We had a man killed today by the police and is charged with murder. We also have an unacceptable level of violence in our city right now. And it's important, and that spike, by the way, is national. It's not unique to Cincinnati. It's happening in every major city, and we don't know why, but it is happening in every major city. And as we try to attack that, we have to stand for law and order. We have to stand for justice. And what you saw today is that we are a community, Republican, Democrat, county, city, police department, UC, we're all in this together. And we not only have to try to prevent innocent men from being killed by police and innocent cops being killed by criminals, we also need to reduce the number of shootings in our community. There are too many bodies that are dropping in our city, and we're going to continue to pursue that. And I think to pursue it fairly is to do so with integrity, and I think that today our community showed a great deal of integrity.
Bishop Hilton, could you maybe address what was talked about a little earlier? Does this set a precedent? Does this send a message to the rest of the country from Cincinnati?
Let me begin with what I will end with. There is absolutely no reason for there to be any violent act whatsoever in our community as a result of the murder of Samuel DuBose. Now let me feed into that. Today, along with some of the children of Samuel and the mother of those children, from my automobile, we watched the press conference of Joe Dieters. And as we watched it and watched the video, we witnessed what could be one of the most egregious killings of an unarmed black man by a police officer. There was screaming, there was crying, it was hurtful, it was painful. And all we could do was embrace and cry and say we would get through it. But let me say clearly, because of the response of the leadership of this city, the mayor, the police chief and police officers of Cincinnati, and because of the detail and what the prosecutor, Joe Dieters, had to say and what he did today, that brought a lot of solace. That brought as much comfort as could be expected to an enormous amount of pain. I appreciate the fact that as a civil rights activist, I'm allowed to stand wherever I believe truth is. I'm allowed to protest when I believe there's been an injustice. And today, I am proud of what has happened in the city of Cincinnati. When we protest, we feel like we're not being heard. When we protest, we feel like we're not being treated fairly. When we protest, we feel like there's injustice. I believe that out of this most horrible situation, today, as much as can be thought possible at this moment, should be a proud moment, because this city has come together on every level, and including the prosecutor's office. What more can we ask for? Be violent for what? Let's hold our head up and say we just witnessed fairness and justice as much as possible to this point. We know we have a long way to go, but let's appreciate what has happened to this point and let this be a model for the nation, because I don't think Ferguson got this. I don't believe Baltimore got this. Other cities didn't get this. And what happened in 2001 in Cincinnati helped prepare us for this day. And Cincinnati Police Department should be commended, because policing in Cincinnati is much different than policing in a lot of other communities. So let the nation see what happens when there is an effort to do things right, just, and fair.
Chief Blackwell, can I ask, what do you say to the mom and dad, the families who are concerned that it's nightfall this evening, even in the coming days, that there may be some lawlessness? Clearly, you support peaceful protests, but the reality is there may be some lawlessness as a result of, for whatever reason. How do you address that? What logistically, what strategically can you do?
Well, we can't give away strategic or operational guidelines or platforms that we have, but we're prepared. We're hopeful, we're prayerful that the collaborative effort that you see here with all of our great community leaders and the great work that we did and that Joe Dieters' office did is proof that it was transparent and constitutional and that justice has been served to this point. We are working diligently with our intelligence community, looking at different things on social media and other aspects. We feel confident that we are going to be prepared for anything that should arise, but we're going to lean on our community because we cannot do it by ourselves.
Excuse me. We're going to take a couple more questions. Anyone else out there that hasn't asked a question yet? Yes, sir.
Yes.
A lot of them minors.
Yes.
Will the university do anything special for those kids in terms of education?
I met with the family today, and we started to discuss those things. There's going to be a process where we talk with them and listen to their wishes. You probably know me, and you know that I do those sorts of things. But it would be inappropriate for me to talk about that until we started to talk to the family about that. But believe me, the best interest of that family is front and center with me. One of his step-daughters actually is at the University of Cincinnati. She just came back from China. I know her. She's fantastic. I understand what you're saying, and we will work with the family.
Thank you, President. One more question. Yes, Iris. Okay.
First of all, thank you. Let me just thank the city manager, our police chief, and our mayor, and the very fine people that are here. Whatever we do at this time, I think is important that we all come together. And you know, my heart right now is so touched about what has happened, and my heart is more as a pastor right now. And my prayer is that that actually the Father of glory that would cause us all to come together and work together. The initiative that I'm working on, we can deal with that another day. But right now, I think what's important is that we come together, we have our healing, and I've joined my bishop here today, Bishop Bobby Hilton and others, that we just come together and we pray and that we get through this. And as we get through it, our initiatives will be very clear about our direction and where I'm going, especially helping our young people here in Cincinnati. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the press conference. Thank you for coming.
All right.